My name is Philippe Failio, co-founder of Gastamo Group. It is my pleasure to introduce a true pioneer in the local restaurant community and my partner, Peter Newlin. Peter and I share a journey that spans over a decade, united by a passion for food, hospitality, and innovation. Our partnership began in 2010 over burgers at the original Park Burger, where our shared vision for accessible, high-quality dining all started. Over the years, we've grown to establish several acclaimed restaurants, including Homegrown Tap and Dough, Perdita, Lady Namada, and Birdcall, each reflecting our commitment to exceptional food at reasonable prices. But it's not just about the food. While researching different POS solutions and not finding anything up to a standard for a fast casual restaurant, Peter decided to create our proprietary POS for Birdcall, and that's how Poncho was born. Pretty impressive, isn't it? Today, Peter will share his knowledge on how AI and technology, which as you can tell I did not use to prepare for this introduction, can help enhance the guest experience, hospitality, as well as streamline operations. Please join me in welcoming my good friend and partner, Peter Newlin, as he shares his insights with us today. Thank you.
All right, guys, I'm super excited to be here. I think I'm nervous to speak today for two reasons. One, I don't think there's a community of people that I respect more than EatDenver. EatDenver, taught me everything. And, I've looked to it for mentorship, for friendship, for support, when we were scared. And it's always been here, and I don't think there's many restaurant communities that are as strong or as powerful as EatDenver. And I think the second thing that makes me a little nervous about talking about today is we're just in such a wild time with, general AI and generative AI. And so it's a topic that, yes, I've spent the last year studying and figuring out modern applications, but in all reality, there's so much that I don't know, and I don't know where it's going. So a lot of the things that I'll talk about or I'll share or ways that I'm utilizing the tools are from a prediction standpoint, less from I don't really know. Let me just get this thing going. So just to give you a little background, my name's Pete, and I spend my day more on the creative side of restaurants. I have a complete love of experiential dining and how restaurants come together. Jean-Philippe, I couldn't be more blessed to have a partner like Jean-Philippe because I don't even cook. But, one of the things about restaurants is the breadth of skill set actually necessary to be successful. It's insane. So I've really spent the last decade of my career from everything from real estate development, love of interior design, love of graphic design, love of branding. It's amazing to see that the ways a restaurant can impact you outside of the food. And so it was a year ago, I had the opportunity to go sit down with one of our investors who's an incredible fund manager in the city of Denver. So it was probably November of 2022. And I was sitting down and I was telling him our pipeline for our future release for our Poncho Technology year, and I was super excited. And he sat there looking at me like I was an idiot, and he was like, but have you seen the release of ChatGPT? Have you seen how it's going to automate code writing? Do you realize what's coming? And I've never felt so humble or like I have absolutely no idea what he was talking about, but I instantly left and probably did the same thing a lot of everybody in this room did, was I instantly looked for, I just instantly went to chatgpt.com, openchat.com, and I was like, I started with the same prompt that you guys probably started, write a love letter to my wife in the tone of Snoop Dogg, and my brother and I aren't that close, and I was like, he's a Shakespeare professor, write an apology letter to my brother in Shakespeare's tone, and I was like, I don't know what it says, but I feel like the relationship's getting a little bit better. So, that's really kind of where it started, but then it evolved so quick, just through curiosity. What I quickly found was well, yes, it can do all of these fun, playful things, but it can also solve a lot of problems that we actually experience in the hospitality industry. And there's actually so many applications. And the thing about, starting to use these general AI tools, not specific AI tools, I'm just referencing more like ChatGPT, Gemini, or any of the other large language models, is that, once you start getting going, you start to realize that this model can solve almost any problem that you're trying to throw at it. So, from 2022, starting with poem to country music writing, it slowly transitioned to like, well, how can I do my business better? How can I, I've got to submit this report to Philippe. How can I actually edit that in a better way? And one of the biggest learnings from last year was, I think we're all the same in that it's hard to ask for feedback, right? It's hard to say, hey, I don't have the answer. But it's really easy when you're talking to a bot. Hey, please, can you edit this? What have I done wrong? How would you adjust it? What ways could I make this better? So instantly it turned from country music writing to editing development plans, building out models for the business, creating brand decks, creating, it goes on and on. The other thing that I quickly wanted to share on this page is like, this is the most impactful thing we've seen in our entire careers. Like the level of efficiency gain for the cost of a Starbucks coffee is nothing that we've ever seen. I put a little chart up here because I was really curious. I was like, what was the adoption rate of ChatGPT, versus the adoption rate of the internet? And of course, there's a lower barrier to entry but it took 15 years for the internet to reach 1 billion people. It took less than a year for AI to reach 1 billion people. So the speed at which this is being adopted is like nothing we've ever seen. The other thing that it gets me super excited, and it kind of goes back to what Liz was talking about, is this levels the playing field. Historically, the hardest thing for restaurant operators is the breadth of skill set necessary to be successful, right? You gotta be an awesome marketer. You've got to understand real estate strategy. You have to have some financial acumen, even though when we first started building restaurant, we're like, is there cash in the bank? I think there is. Let's open another one of these things, I think it's working, I'm not sure. But as you grow and as you evolve in your career, you start to layer those on. But at no point are you able to catch the sophistication of the larger groups that Liz was defining, right? Where they have they're doing data analysis on cell phone pings to pick the perfect location, and they're building a marketing strategy that is gonna hit every household around there. And for us, it was like, we're just opening the doors and we hope people come, and hopefully if we're kind, they'll come back. But this changes everything, right? And it should be approached in that fashion. It was defined to me as the army of one. It's the first time where now the technical skill isn't the challenge. Now it's the creative function of your brain is really going to be the barrier that will allow you to expand. So approaching every problem from like, dude, how would a large restaurant group look at this? And the other thing too was, it was shared with me recently. They said, AI is coming, and it is an asteroid coming for every one of our businesses. It's just a question of the time, and it's a question of the size. So today I just wanted to focus a little bit on, probably the greatest lesson of last year. And you guys probably know a lot of this, but what it came down to, where I started to get more and more benefit from ChatGPT and general AI models, was in the prompting. And, I think when we all start using it, we're just treating it like, hey, I need to have some creative ideas for, a marketing session. Can you give me something? But when we first start using these AI models, we're doing simple prompts that are maybe only like 30 to 40 words. In all reality, a prompt, the more defined a prompt, the more defined the response, and the more that it can better predict what you're actually looking for. So here's just a couple of the things that are just so important when it actually comes to creating a prompt. Number one is the persona. What's so amazing, right? That it could actually be Snoop Dogg and write a love letter, right? It's the fact that this can be anything you want. So the first thing that, I do when I start creating a prompt, I'm like, what is the problem I'm trying to solve? Yes, I went to a top 10 business school. I'm a CFA. I studied data science at Harvard. I have a 10-year history in the restaurant and hospitality space, and this presentation is going to so-and-so. The second piece is really focusing on the context of the problem you're trying to solve. What is the background? What are the specific conditions that you're looking for? Data is everything. We all know that, you read about it all the time, that these models will hallucinate, that these models will kind of, create. But that's just like the human brain, right? Like, if we don't have the data to back what we're actually talking about, we're going to talk about God knows what, right? So the great thing about this is just the amount of data that you can actually feed these models to get a more accurate prediction. And it's important to realize ChatGPT, it's not a search engine. It wasn't even designed to be that. So using a search engine for what it's designed to be, and using ChatGPT is what it's designed to be is important. The other thing is just specific instructions. What's your expectation of the output? What is your end result? What are you actually looking for? And then a good prompt should be a minimum of 450 words. Now, what you'll see today, I did some generic prompts just to give you some perspective in how I use it, but they're all about 250 words. So it can kind of give you a lens there. The other thing that I think is really important when you're actually working on these is that being iterative with your prompts is essential. Sometimes it shows, I was reading yesterday, as like the average person spends on ChatGPT 5 to 8 minutes a day, right? You're not going to get the results that you need when you do that. So when you're talking to these bots, when you're fine tuning your bots, when you're creating your own specialized bots, which you can actually do in the playground, you need to constantly respond, talk to it like it's a team member, and really help it get you to the end problem that you're trying to solve. And then, manage those probabilities, because in the end of the day, the more specific you are, the more that you give it, the better it'll turn out. So I did just want to quickly, I'm going to do a quick little create a restaurant concept. So, one of the things that I think that's great about ChatGPT and large language models is just, okay, maybe today it can't get you 100% of the way, but it's a hell of a lot better of a starting point than what we've seen in the past. So here's a prompt that I created to just start, like, okay, we gotta create a new restaurant. And this will take into consideration a lot of those prompt goals. As a seasoned restaurateur with an extensive training from the world's most prestigious Italian restaurants, I've honed my skills under acclaimed chefs. I've worked at the top 10 Italian restaurants in Italy, New York, and attended an acclaimed culinary school in Florence. Growing up in Colorado with a deep love of history and culture, I'm embarking on a new opportunity in Vail on the mountain slopes. This venture aims to merge the rich history of Colorado with a contemporary mountain aesthetic reminiscent of ski chalets in the Swiss Alps. Envision an ambiance defined by brass accents, pristine white marble, beautiful barnwood, and seats covered in luxurious sheepskin, all curated with a similar style to that of a mountain collection from a modern contemporary furniture company, often in great shopping centers. The menu, though concise, will offer a sophisticated blend of Italian dishes, innovative modern pizzas, promising a culinary experience that pays homage to Italian traditions, while embracing Colorado's pioneering spirit. Your first task in this ambitious project is to conceptualize a name that captures the essence of Italian elegance with the storied landscape of Colorado. The name should serve as a beacon, drawing guests into the world where culinary excellence meets the rugged beauty of Rocky Mountains. Give me 10 names and explain their meanings. Well, I picked the one that I like the best. Betto Bella, I think that's how you pronounce it, probably wrong, but just translates to beautiful peak, capturing the scenic beauty of Colorado mountains and an ode to Italian history. I mean, 5 years ago when we were concepting names, it was the hardest thing. I mean, you're writing countless names on paper, you're going down the street, like creative functions have completely changed. We now have the roadmap. It's a question of can we actually implement the roadmap? Historically, one of the challenges of young restaurants was like, do you have the training materials? Do you have the so-and-so? You got all that now. Now it's just a question of can we do what we do best, go in there, execute, and have the gentle pressure that Danny Meyer always talks about. Well, I have to have an interior, right? And for me, I go back to that same prompt. And if you guys have used Midjourney is a tool that you can talk to through a platform called Discord. Discord, I don't know much about it, but I think it was like a gaming platform similar to like Slack. And so a lot of these kind of AI bots, you actually have to talk to them like Adobe Firefly and so on. But I needed an interior, and you know what you want. Now it's just creates better visuals as you go to that architect. So for me, I was like, when I started thinking about this place in Vail, I was like, well, I need sheepskin. I got to have brass accents. Got to have cool barnwood. It's got to be modern, but still be Italian. And I mean, when you actually start looking at these images, these photorealistic images, I mean, they're incredible. And to have this level of starting point is just, it totally changes the game. Well, I'm not a chef, so I got to create a menu, right? And you know, of course, all of these images that were created are also created in this tool, Midjourney. They actually look real. But you know, here's a perfect example of a prompt. You know, I'm a celebrity-trained chef who won top viewed culinary show. I've trained worldwide under top, you know, Michelin star restaurants, James Beard, ... Craft a menu. Remember, the concept is simple, just 3 appetizers, 3 pizzas, 3 pastas, 5 entrees, 2 desserts. It's approachable, has modern characteristics while respecting Italian transition. I mean, and I'm just talking high level here. None of the stuff that, you know, and these prompts is really showing any of the existing data that lives within your restaurants, right? The power of your restaurants is gonna be that data, right? It's gonna be what exists here. And so now menu curation could be things like, oh, I'm getting kicked off. Am I getting kicked off? Oh, I'm getting kicked off. All right, let me go to my last slide. Gosh, that's what you get when you don't practice, right? So let me just show you one last thing. So as you can see, it's scrubbing the internet and providing a really concise menu that's pulling from some of the best chefs from around the world. The only other one thing I wanted to share real quick is just the power that this has for financial modeling. You know, one of the biggest challenges that we've had historically is putting together models, better predicting what the restaurant will do. They can run off historicals, but this is just an example of, if you snap a photo of how you can actually get it to put together some pro formas for your restaurant business. And it created this entire pro forma that has a debt schedule that goes into the payback period, that tells my IRR, that helps me understand, is this a good investment or is this a bad investment? Historically, when we opened Park Burger and Park Burger Hilltop, it was like, there's an empty space, we think we can make it work. We don't have to have that level of risk in our business anymore, right? Use this tool to mitigate the risk. Running a restaurant is hard enough as it is. Let's mitigate that risk. And I'm just gonna go through a couple last things and then I'll leave you guys. Early adopters have a huge competitive advantage here. We have a huge competitive advantage here. I don't necessarily know what applications are gonna be best for you to use it, but I just encourage you not to ignore it. Because as you saw from that early adopter chart, this thing isn't going away. And the 2 big things that are gonna change in the next year regarding AI in our applications for restaurants is, 1, we have a huge memory issue. So right now it's like, if you started talking to this ChatGPT, a lot of the reasons why I save a lot of my prompts is because it can't remember far back. You know, prompt can only be up to 4,000 words. So, or at least today, that's going to change. Eventually in the next, maybe it's a year, maybe it's 2, maybe it's 5, it's gonna be able to remember everything. And the second thing, today it will give you the answer, tomorrow it'll complete an action. You know, today it's like, dude, I gotta go to Florence, tell me everything that's cool about traveling there. You know, I'm a little indie, I wanna go to cool rad restaurants that nobody knows about, that have high, you know, rating. Yes, it'll give you that, but you still have to put that plan together, and there's a lot of back and forth. In the future, it's actually gonna complete those actions, and that's what's gonna be so transformative. So don't ignore it. And the other thing is, this is a complete new operating system that the world's gonna be using, right? Microsoft was the point and click. iOS was the touch screen. And this is gonna be parallel, and it'll all be voice. And then one of the, probably, if there was ever, I had the opportunity to go to the CEO Empowerment Court at the Vajal Institute. It's about $1,000, without a doubt, was the most impactful training seminar I ever had the opportunity to go to. So I just strongly encourage, follow these guys, see what they're doing. So in the end of the day, that's all I got. Thank you so much.